Dear God, thank you for the food we're about to eat. Thank you for bringing us together as a family. Thank you for giving us.
As a kid, Jeremy was an overachiever. He was a leader, a good student in school. He excelled at everything that he attempted to do. He was a likable kid. I'm not bragging on him or anything like that, but I'm just telling you that as a parent, he wasn't much problem at all. He was a good kid.
When it first happened, I didn't know what was going on. We just heard that there were some explosions that happened at the World Trade Center, and then we heard that there was one going for the Pentagon, and then when we finally found out what was going on, all of us in my unit immediately received a phone call. We knew from that point on that the chance of us getting mobilized for something somewhere was going to happen. They did not have experienced bridgers, nor did they have the type of equipment that we had in order to do a bridging operation. So we knew that whenever a time would come, there was always a threat for taking out the bridges to slow us down. So we knew that if we were called upon, we were going to be thrown right to the front because we were with an infantry division to put them across. So we knew our threat level was going to be really high. To perform our first bridging operation, very fatigued at this point in time, but at the same time, we knew this was our first opportunity to perform our job. So in a sense, we all got a second wind, or maybe at that time it was a 10th wind, and we were ready to go. Right on our side of the bridge, one of our armored personnel carriers, or the Marines' armored personnel carriers, was unfortunately hit by an Iraqi artillery shell. So when we got the all clear, I was on the second boat that went into the water. And there was still fighting going on. We have tanks and we have personnel lined up on our shore that are fighting across the bridge. We have soldiers that are actually going across. Some of them are going across on our boats, taking them over to the far shore to go pursue further targets. We're taking fire, artillery rounds, small arms fire while we were building this bridge. And in fact, it's the first time that the Army had built a bridge under fire since World War II, and it was the first time to do it for the Marines because that's who we were attached to since the Korean War. So we didn't recognize it at the time, but we were actually performing an historical event. Everybody was given a combat action badge. So, and I think it was specific for the day we built our bridge.
When he got back, he was full of torment, I thought. He was definitely carrying his emotions on his sleeve. Anxiety. He was a different person. It was obvious that it was due to the fact that he was at war. He'd been at war. I wanted to be with him, there for him, but it didn't take me long to understand that, to come to the conclusion that what I had to offer was not really what he needed.
Returning from a combat zone is difficult for anyone. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, your background, how strong you think you are. It's a very difficult thing to do. It's life-changing, and it's a permanent life change. Things will never be the same. Our unit was right up in the front, and so we were going straight into Baghdad in the midst of heavy battle. We went through WWII. Marines were dying, bullets were flying everywhere. There were dead bodies lying around. At any given second, we could have been shot, and we had no idea. We had no idea where anything was really coming from.
Well, the first time that Jeremy sat down and talked to me about having PTSD, we were sitting on the couch in his first apartment, and he went through talking about the things that he had to do, what he saw, those types of things over in Iraq, and I really just had to sit and listen to what he had to say.
Talk therapy has become a really good way to get those intrusive thoughts, those inner inner thoughts that I have about, whatever related to being in the military or anything in life, really.
The therapy has to be an ongoing process. And so with Jeremy, before I met him, he had initiated the process of going to therapy. But like many other vets, didn't continue. Starts to feel better, stops seeing signs and symptoms, stops going to therapy. And so as we've gone through our relationship, there's been certain times where I have been really, he says instrumental, I say, it's just something that has to be done in order to preserve this relationship.
Talking about it has become a really good way for me to loosen up, so to speak, and be able to relax a little bit more. That tension ball isn't squeezed so tight. And so that through those two things, I think I've been able to, and obviously the help of my loving wife, it's really come a long way and helping me get things under control. Being a therapist at the VA had its challenges, obviously. I hearing horrible stories all the time brought up a lot of bad memories for me. And most of the time I was able to handle those okay. Just by a show of hands, how many of you know somebody that served in combat? There you go. Combat veterans are a group of people who do not like to talk about what's going on with them. They don't want to talk about their problems. They want to talk about what they've seen. They don't want to talk about what they've done. I think I was a little hesitant to reach out for any kind of help because I was a VA employee. It was, I don't know, I guess kind of awkward to think that I would go to the VA to get any kind of help. I was stubborn, obviously. I did start seeing a private therapist who was able to help me deal with some of the things, but it was just, I think at one point it just really became too overwhelming. .org, under the references column, it has documents. And if you click on the intake packet form, it will open up a document that you need to fill out, and then it'll also have a list of. So making the transition to Helping Heroes obviously was a big change for me, but at the same time, it was a very positive change because I wasn't doing direct therapy anymore, but I was able to still help the veterans in another way. As we worked with the clients that we had at Helping Heroes, there's still a lot of them were struggling with the same sort of things that the veterans did at the vet center. But the big difference being we're not providing that clinical work. I mean, it comes with the territory. I will always be a therapist. And actually, we've had some support groups that I've ran, and we're going to be running new support groups. All the veterans that live and the family members that live in the apartments will be provided with food, clothing, all of which we will provide through donations. So this apartment has the capacity of 6. There's a kids room, which has 2 sets of brand new bunk beds. And then we have a master bedroom that has a nice big queen size bed in it. It's called a transitional housing program for a reason. The program is going to be for veterans who need programming, that have been chronically homeless, that have really struggled with substance abuse, mental health issues, that maybe need more than just a place to stay and helping them get back on their feet financially and looking for work. The goal is to house them first and then work on everything else as we go along, their employment, their financials, budgeting, all that sort of thing. They're going to be in need of intensive case management, psychotherapy. So for them, they'll be required to go to substance abuse groups, mental health groups that we'll be providing here at the office. I've been blessed and so fortunate to be able to do what I do and be surrounded by veterans every day, but also be a place for people who care about veterans to come and show that they care. We all have a role to play, and we all need to figure out how to fit together. And if we don't have any understanding of one another, it's hard to find that community feeling. We may struggle to find our place, but we know where our place should be, and it's in our communities.